Well guys, it's that time. I don't have anything interesting to talk about today, no thoughts up here in my mind, so we're going to do a time-honored tradition here on this channel. We're going to talk about some art that I've been into lately. I like to do this every now and again because we talk about art so much on here. I think it's only fair that I also go, this is what I've been liking recently, and this is why I've been liking it. I think it's a fun little tradition. As always, I have a variety of mediums here today. I have a book, I got 2 movies, and I try to usually touch on the music I've been listening to too, but I really don't have anything I've been listening to in specific lately that's like a new album or anything, so I guess it'll just be a book and 2 movies today. The book I'm reading, though, I want to get right off the bat, though, is extremely interesting. One of the best things I've ever read, in a long time at least. I want to get this right out of the front because I think if there's one thing I want you all to check out from this video, it's this book. It's really cool. It's a collection of essays called How to Be Alone by Johnathan Franzen, right? And I have never found a book that can more accurately put into words like a feeling or a state, right? There's something we've talked about a pretty good bit on this channel about how kind of the world feels like we're slouching towards dystopia right now in a lot of ways, and you know, a lot of this has to do with the erosion of community, technology, all these things, the loss of privacy. Like, there's a million folds to this, which is why it's a really interesting subject to talk about, and also one that's hard to encapsulate. I actually tried to do it very directly here on this channel, where I made a video saying I feel like we're living in a pre-dystopia. People found that somewhat interesting, I think. From what you guys have said to me, the people I've spoken to, you guys have found that video to be one of the most interesting. I was extremely not happy with how I said my thoughts in that video, though. I don't know if I ever said that. I thought that I did a terrible job in that video. I really didn't get out the things the way I wanted to say them, because I don't think this is the kind of topic that you can encapsulate in a discussion around the topic itself. And that's what this essay collection does so well. Johnathan Franzen paints a very vivid picture of the erosion of community, the taking over of business and everything feeling so corporate and alienated, and overall just what it feels like to be living in this modern day America. And what I think is most interesting about this is that this book was written in, I believe, the early 2000s, if not the late 90s. No, I'd say it's early 2000s. I think this was post 9/11. So this book is older, right? It's a quarter century old at this point almost, but it encapsulates these feelings better than ever before, because I think that what he's talking about here, I don't know, I can't say this for sure because I wasn't the age I am now. I wasn't as intelligent as I am now in the early 2000s because I was, well, a child. But I feel that, like, things have gotten, like, I bet if you were reading this book back then and thinking about this, you know, imperial America that you're living in the center of, and alienation sweeping through, and wage growth is down, all these things that are leading to this general feeling, right? I feel that if you were reading this when it came out, you'd probably feel it's a bit exaggeratory in the emotions it's displaying, right? Nowadays, though, it's not only is it not exaggeratory, it's almost not enough. Like, it almost doesn't go hard enough on certain topics. And I think that's why this works so well, because it was written before we were in the middle of it. Right now, we're in the middle of this thing, right? Like, we're in the middle of this crazy time. And it's almost impossible to tell when you're in the middle of something what it really is, right? Like, what's that famous phrase, fish didn't discover water? That's exactly how it feels to be in the middle of this crazy world we're in right now, right? So I think that the only way that we'll fully ever be able to understand this is, A, in retrospect, which will come someday. We can't travel to the future, so we're not there yet. But B, in older things that had a prophetic quality to them, right? I think that's why David Foster Wallace's work works so well, because he was talking about a lot of these problems before they really became the big problems they are today in regards to things like entertainment and such, right? And Johnathan Franzen was actually good friends with David Foster Wallace, from what I understand. And I think his work has a similar quality to it, but more so about in describing the alien life that we currently live, right? The book is titled How to Be Alone, and despite that, there's no individual essay of, like, this is how you're gonna be alone. Like, that's not how it's going on. It's more so painting a picture of this modern world and how isolated it can be, you know? Because I think sometimes it truly does feel like we're living in Blade Runner, a movie that I've never seen. But I read the book, and it feels like we're living there just without the aesthetics, without all the cool things that come along with it. It just feels like we're experiencing the emotions of being alone, looking at the skyline of a neon city that we, have no real community in. So that's a depressing note to start this on, but this book it's genuinely insane. It's genuinely mind-blowing. I highly recommend reading it. Some are definitely more deviating from that topic. That's the general gist of the book. But even when it is deviating from it, like the first essay, for example, is on his father's Alzheimer's, right? Even that, I mean, it is just insightful. It's interesting. It's a blend of being informative, but also just being super introspective. It's awesome. Highly recommend that book, right? Recently, I also watched 2 movies not recently. I guess it's like teetering on a month ago now. But since the last time we talked about the art I've been liking, I watched 2 movies. One is Whiplash. This is probably the most annoying part about these episodes because I'm always watching movies that everybody else has seen. Because I'm terrible with movies. Like, I don't know anything. I've never watched any. Because I'm always doing something, so it's like I can't just like watch this right now. So I watched Whiplash. I thought it was good. If I'm being honest though, like okay, wait, this is a complete spoiler for Whiplash, so I'm guessing most of you have seen it, but I'm gonna raise my hand while I go through this tangent. Don't just skip ahead till this hand is down, okay? All right, now, start skipping. So in the movie, he obviously gets hit by the car, and then he's like, I'm out, I'm no longer Whiplash, I'm done with the drums. And then, the guy, the J.K. Simmons, is like, yeah, you are out. And then, he gets J.K. Simmons fired, and there's that time skip, right? And then he meets him in the bar, J.K. Simmons is like, let's go back on the road, buddy. And they do that the next concert, right? There's time in between that where Miles Teller literally just gives up playing the drums, though. Like, that's the whole thing that he does. And the whole movie's about him trying to be great at these drums, of course, right? So I don't understand how he randomly then picks up the drums again and has his big Whiplash moment at the end of the movie, when he just was on a 2-year hiatus from not playing those drums. Like, he was not practicing at all. And the whole message of the movie is about hard work, being great. So is the message then at the end like, you should actually take a break and take a breather, then you'll be great? Because that just feels antithetical. I think the ending works really well from a character perspective, but I do think it almost softens the movie's message a little bit. So that's my thought on Whiplash. Welcome back, everybody who didn't want those spoilers. I tried to make that as fast as possible. I'm sure it was really hard to look at me for a full minute without the painting, for those of you who stayed, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie overall, and I'm glad I saw it. That's, I think, the big thing for me, is like, I feel like I need to be seeing these movies, and it was, I mean, with all its problems that I found in it, well, not with the singular problem I found in it, rather, I did still find the movie inspirational, because I do, obviously, whether you've seen the movie or not, Whiplash is kind of about this, like, hard-working, like, you're gonna grind through this art thing, and oftentimes people try to detach that too much from art, of like, no, you should be chilling all the time if you're an artist, and I don't really like that. Like, I think, as much as it's true that you should not be working quite as hard as the guy in the movie, like, it's obviously a dramatization of it, I like working hard on art, so I think that kind of stuff is cool. So yeah, I overall really did enjoy that movie. The other movie I watched was There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis. What a movie. I mean, that was insane. That was an insane movie right there. Like, that's a movie. That's a crazy movie. The one thing that ruined this movie for me, though, we all know the scene in There Will Be Blood, where it's been in every TikTok ever, where it's like, I've abandoned my child, I've abandoned my boy. When he's in the church, right? I just cried laughing at that, because I was like, oh my god, this is the thing from the TikTok that's like, from 2020, where it's like top 5 acting performances ever, and then they just show you 5 white guys screaming back to back, and I'm like, yeah, those guys are great. That's exactly what that clip is from, and I just could not get it out of my head, and that kind of ruined that movie for me. So yeah, that is crazy movie otherwise. I mean, the ending, all of it, insane. That's another thing. If you've never seen that, totally recommend watching it. The last thing that I've been that I watched lately was Seinfeld. The whole show. I watched the whole Seinfeld show. I think I mentioned this in a previous Paint&Talk. That it's good. It's actually really good. I mean, this is probably not that original of an observation that Seinfeld's a funny show. Very funny, very good bits. I will say it's aged surprisingly well for being from the 90s. Not even in a sense of like, you know, the subject matter, more so just like the jokes still land, which is impressive because like, I feel 90s, that's like what? Coming up on 40 years ago when Seinfeld would have started airing. Like, I think we're at 35. That's a long time for jokes to still be good. I mean, like, I think sometimes we underestimate how quick a joke can get old, right? And a lot of these jokes still really hold up. I watched it because I kind of get cultural FOMO. I don't know if you guys get this, where it's like, oh man, everyone's seen this thing, I haven't watched it, and I felt like I knew everyone around me referencing Kramer, and I was like, wow, this guy must be awesome, the character Kramer, not the actor. And so I watched it really just for that, because I wanted to get these jokes. And I was at my hairdresser's recently, actually. I'm sure you guys noticed I got a haircut. You know, I don't think we need to draw attention to it. I'm really embarrassed about haircuts in general. If I could have 3 wishes from a genie, one of them would definitely be to make sure my hair stays at the perfect length forever. That's a fun fact about me. But I was getting my haircut and I told my hairdresser, because she mentioned some old actor, and I was like, I don't really know him. And she was like, right, like I forget that like you don't know a lot of the same things because you're younger. And I was like, speaking of, I've been watching Seinfeld lately. And she was like, oh my God, who's your favorite character? And I was like, Kramer. And then she stopped cutting my hair and just laughed for 5 minutes. And then just succinctly finished off her laughing with a, oh, Kramer. And then went back to cutting my hair as if that was like a normal occurrence. And I mean, listen, pretty good haircut. I think it looks a little bit like a mullet. And I'm kind of a little bit insecure about that. I'm waiting for it to grow out a little bit. So please, nobody mention that. But yeah. That was interesting. I honestly think it's just like, I highly recommend, one, because it is funny, the jokes still do hold up, especially if you're into just like dumb kind of humor. A lot of it's still pretty solid stuff. You know, especially the peak of it, like from seasons 3 to 7, amazing. Like there's just so many jokes in there that are like witty, timeless, good stuff. Especially Jerry Seinfeld's comedy, the man himself, that the show's named after. It's pretty like, all around good comedy where it's not like badgering too much on one thing. Like it's pretty just PC, like clean jokes. And I think that I kind of appreciate that, right? Like I think it's cool when a comedian can just make jokes out of just nothing because they're actually just funny, right? And I think that's what he does pretty well. I mean, I don't know what he's up to these days. Whenever I mention a guy on here, everybody's like, hey, did you know that guy was actually Hitler the whole time? And I'm like, well, I didn't. So maybe, sorry if he is, but you know, it's been since the 90s. I'm sure something that people are mad about out there, right? I'm not really too educated on that, but I know that he was funny in the show. So I do recommend watching, also just because like it is genuinely referenced everywhere. Like it's crazy how many references I get now. And I feel like almost like I just joined a friend group that like I'm getting all the inside jokes now, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, check out Seinfeld too. This is the painting, new color palette here today. Jerry Seinfeld did date that 17-year-old girl, didn't he? Forgot all about that. Huh. Well, great show. Still, you know, I know Larry David did most of the writing, so I feel like it's probably still whatever, right? You know, rough time there. But this is the color palette for today. This is a new one. Good. I like it. We're coming at the end of this color palette series, right? We're in the last, I want to say 3 to 5 color palettes. We're getting there, guys. I want to continue the series. I want to finish it out, right? So I want to do this all the way. I'm liking this color palette. I think it's very natural. I think it has character without being too bright, too dark. Solid color palette right here. This is what I like. This is the kind of color palette I like, guys. So shout out to this. Go follow me on Instagram. Be on the lookout, because once I finish all these color palette series, I'm going to be setting up multiple posts with all of them in it all at once, because they're just cubes and you don't need a post every week on these. You can just deal with 2 when they're all done, right? So go follow the Instagram. Be on the lookout for that. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint and Talk episode 216. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all. And let me know, what art have you guys been into recently?